It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
Hello, and welcome to a very wet, sunny, windy, cloudy, classic English summer's trip to the seaside. I recently picked up a film camera and I've been really enjoying photographing with it, so in this video I'm going to talk you through my approach to a day of street photography on film. At this point in the day the sea was calm. It was pretty overcast and very quiet, but I spotted this guy juggling with some pebbles, which I thought was unusual, so snapped off the shot. I actually really like it. It's a simple one, but as I said, it's a scene that's a bit odd, which I'm always looking for. One of the things I love so much about street photography, no 2 days are ever the same. One of the best things about seaside towns is there's always tourists doing strange tourist things to photograph, and here was the classic scene of a bunch of kids getting absolutely obliterated by the mammoth seagulls that terrorise the Brighton seafront. The images are fun, but I should have probably been bolder and got closer into the scene to make a more impactful image here, I think. This one I like a lot. What sums up British summertime more than eating ice cream under an umbrella in the rain? The clouds broke and the wind picked up, really churning up the sea, which was great. Any kind of intense weather really helps add atmosphere and can make for some interesting photos. Here I just saw a bunch of kids playing on the beach and I was lucky to capture a sweet moment. I'm just warming up here really, waiting for the town to liven up a bit. One of the things that I love so much about shooting on film is not having immediate feedback. You just have to take shots as best you can and hope they come out later on. In a day and age when we're all sort of seeking that next dopamine hit on our phones and TVs or whatever, it's great to be able to just be in the moment and enjoy what I see in front of myself rather than having to worry about if I got the shot or not. It's all about the process. Initially the red danger sign caught my eye here, but then I noticed a bunch of people feeding the seagulls for a selfie. No wonder the birds here are so bold, but anyway. I got down low and tried to capture a strong composition and I got lucky with the light. The third image here I feel is the strongest one. This one was just a little bit of fun. I liked how it said caution lifeguard area on a cordoned off portable toilet. Another thing that I love about film is the look, and you just can't get the same effect on digital edits in my opinion. And if you want to find out a bit more about why I decided to switch to film for a bit, then check out my blog where I go over it in detail along with a bunch of other hopefully useful articles on all things street photography. I'll leave a link in the description. In true British summertime fashion, the weather really couldn't make up its mind and we got a flash shower. But that made for people caught out unexpectedly, which can often be a good chance for a capture. Here I saw these two women where one was trying out earrings, but I was a little bit slow on the mark to catch the moment. It's definitely a big learning curve moving to film on a camera without autofocus or a light meter, but it's so much fun to use. I'm really enjoying it and I've taken some of my favourite shots of the year with it so far, one coming up a bit later on in the video. But definitely still a lot to learn when it comes to film photography. Back down on the seafront and we were really getting the steps in. I noticed this guy dressed as a clown and he bent down next to this sculpture. I'm a little bit too far away for it to really work and it's another learning curve to get used to the rangefinder where I often think I'm closer than I really am. Another thing about film is that it's making me be really intentional with my shots. Obviously it's very expensive, so I want to get the most out of every picture that I take. So here I noticed a cool looking lady, but she's on her phone, so I decided not to take the shot. If I had a digital camera with me, I probably would have taken it anyway, but I don't really want a hard drive full of photos I don't find interesting, which is one of the reasons why I want to experiment with film for a bit. As we walked along the seafront, I noticed these boys squeezing through a sculpture out on the water, but I wasn't quite fast enough to get there in time to capture the moment. However, I always find that when you see an interesting moment, if you miss it, it's always worth just spending a little bit more time to see if it happens again. And so often you'll be surprised to find that the same thing or something similar happens again. In this case, I snap off a boring shot of someone sticking their head through the sculpture, but it lacks dynamism or some kind of twist. So rather than settle for it, I wait for just a little bit longer and the boys went back to trying to squeeze through the sculpture again, which is exactly what I was hoping for. In street photography, patience and perseverance really pays off. I especially enjoyed this second photo. I like that the kid is properly wedged into the sculpture, but the pop of orange on the shoes really makes the image for me. One of my favourites from the day. Next we headed up onto the pier, and I've always struggled to get a good photo on the pier as it's sort of such a cliche, but I always try to get something when I'm in town. In this instance I decided to head into the arcade to see how the camera and film will come out in really low light. So I went as slow as I could on the shutter speed and shot wide open. You're not really meant to photograph inside the arcade, but what can I say guys, I'm a bit of a rebel. I tried to capture a handful of photos that tell a little story of the atmosphere inside the arcade. I really like how they came out. Back out on the pier, and the sun had come out along with some very strong wind, which was great because people's hair was blowing all over the place, which is what I tried to capture in the next shot, which I think came out really well. By the way, let me know in the comments if you still enjoy these kind of point of view videos. A lot of street photography YouTubers these days have moved to more vlog style videos, so yeah, I just want to know what you guys prefer, as I want to make the best videos I can for you all to enjoy and get the most out of. The wind and the tide had really picked up and water was smashing up right into the pier, catching people who weren't paying attention. I really like this next photo even though I missed the focus. Another thing that I'm really loving shooting on film is I'm less precious about the images, and in this case I think a bit of imperfection really adds to the image as well as the light, texture and moment. Again, the seagulls were absolutely terrorising tourists, so I spent a bit of time getting a few shots on the pier trying to capture a moment or two with the seagulls. I'm always looking to try and frame some kind of action in my street photos. Pictures about something rather than of something. This is obviously really hard to do, but it's the pursuit of those one or two really great images that keeps me excited and gets me out time and time again.
You look great. You look great. Love your hats.
The wind got a bit much, so we decided to head into town for a bit of calm. Parks make great places to do street photography, especially in the summer, and I noticed this guy having a nap on the AstroTurf. It's a really simple photo, but I like it in its simplicity, something about orange shoe soles on this day. Another big trigger of mine is moments of human emotion on the street, and here I saw this couple, one on their phone and the other looking the other direction but was still with their arm around them. A nice little moment with a little bit of a story, and I really like the colours here too. Brighton's lanes are usually really busy and a great place to shoot, though quite dark, so tricky on film in overcast conditions. This image is really simple, I just liked that his sunglasses were on the back of his head, nothing more to it than that, just a bit of fun. And who can resist getting a shot of a bunch of dogs? I thought it was quite funny with a bunch of leads and the dogs all in a line, with one going their own way. Again, just a little bit of fun. Before we decided to call it a day and go watch the football, we took one last look down on the beach, and that's where I noticed these kids playing out near the pier as the waves smashed over the side, spilling into them. I thought this could make for a cool shot full of action, not knowing that I would end up getting a little bit too close. I stood and watched for a bit, convinced that I was out of splash range, but I probably should have seen what was coming next. If I was using my XE4, there's no way I would have risked water splashing onto it, but for some reason I was a little bit more bold with my film camera and just edged closer, hoping for a good shot of the waves hitting the kids. I got a bit too close and really wasn't paying attention to where the waves were going, and in the end I got completely obliterated. In the moment I didn't think I got a shot, but instinctively when the wave hit I snapped off the shutter, which has now ended up being one of my favourite images of the whole year so far. I love its abstractness, but also its energy and the feeling of being there. I'd love to know what you think in the comments. As always, thank you so much for watching. Like, subscribe, all of that good stuff, and I'll see you in the next video.